For those of you who have been with us before, you understand that Brandon often shares bits and pieces of his world from Hashknife Ranches. And I think we have a video from Brandon today. And I asked him to put together a series of videos that really depict the whole calving season this year that he went through earlier in the year. So maybe you could start us off, Brandon, by kind of telling us where we're going to go with this series of videos and just kind of encapsulate what kind of adventure you're taking us off on.
Sure. No, what I've got today is uh, basically a video of a heifer, and a heifer's a first-time calver, one that's not had a calf before, and I keep them up very close because oftentimes, they just don't understand what's happening with their bodies. They know something's not right here, and this isn't working right for me, and I don't get it. And sometimes they are very good. It's like they've calved all their lives. This is their fourth or fifth calf, and sometimes it's like they have no idea, and this thing's hurting me, and I'm going to get rid of it. So I bring those heifers up because of that fact, and then I can assist them in a birth. And sometimes they have a birth just fine on their own. Most of the time, actually, they have a no need for assistance at all. But this particular video I'm going to show you is one of our heifers that had no problem, but she at the same time she had some questions of her own towards the end of it. So we'll show that and talk about it right afterwards.
Thank you for doing this, Brandon. Those of us who have not been around the livestock industry really learn a lot from, this kind of close, intimate look, because you think nature just automatically takes over. But, every animal's different. And some of them, I'm sure, need help, and others are just, born pros.
That's right. And what you'll find with us through this, I think I've got one that I saved it, was near death when I found it early one morning. Another one that I had watched and it went downhill really bad, so I had to. We have a bottle calf. We've got several videos that we're going to go through that happened earlier this year. I want to make sure everybody understands it's not happening right now. That was earlier in the year. But we'll have a variety of things that happen here, and when something comes up that we think is worthy, we will put it on and make a short video. And my son Kalen is the one who does all of the editing and putting it together so that it looks like it's halfway presentable. It's not me doing this. He's got a lot of stuff going on there in the background that does that. And some of it will involve horses, some of it will involve infrastructure changes that we're doing here, or upgrades or repairs. I mean, normal things that come up on a ranch. But this first few weeks, we're going to have as our happenings during the calving season.
Thank you, Brandon. With that, we'll have James roll the video, the short video, and then you and I can talk about it.
Hey, good afternoon from the Hashknife. Well, this morning we had a incident where we brought a little one in, put him in a hot box, or her in a hot box, and basically saved her life because she was just chilled down and too cold. We've got a video on that. We've maybe already reviewed with you, but I had to kick them out. I cleaned this up back behind here in these jugs, and now I have got to make room for this. So I've got that cow and calf are now in an alleyway in the corral, and they can actually go out if they want. And I brought in this heifer I've been watching, and see her water sack, and I see a couple of feet just starting. So we're going to monitor her, watch her a little bit. And this is a first-time heifer, so she's kind of unfamiliar with this whole thing, but it's funny, they know what to do. I saw her water break or appear about 5 minutes ago, so she's progressing pretty fast. I'm not too worried about her. Two feet are out. They're pointed the right direction. Soles are down, the tops of the hooves are up, so that tells me that that baby is coming head first, was just exactly what we want. You see the size of her bag for a heifer. She's got a huge bag on her. Got a lot of milk there to support this calf with, so this is really good. Now we just hope she's not too immature mentally, and we'll take this calf, protect it, and feed it up so it gets really nice and big. There we go, just see a nose coming. Couple more pushes and she'll have him out. There we go. There's the head. Get those shoulders, and the tough part's done. That's gotta hurt. Here we go. Now you gotta get that sack off of that face. Clean him up so he starts breathing. Get those hips delivered. Sometimes they'll stand up and the babies will fall out. About 2-3 more pushes and she'll have those. There we go. I see the sack has broke off his face. Good. There we go. So I see the nose is clear. Calf is shaking his head a little bit. I can see it breathing. So I'm not going to intervene. No reason for me to. licking him. She might grab that sack and pull it off. Cleaning that navel off. Licking him, getting that. Get that baby to moving. I think they roll them around like that, make sure they clear that sack. Just kind of just an instinct. You know, they don't all do it, but this is their first calf. Got that other cow from this morning is right there with her calf that we saved. So she's kind of feeling a little invaded, I think. She didn't like that other cow being so close, but there's not much we can do. Yeah, we'll see how strong. What a nice, warm afternoon to be coming into the world, that's for sure. Doesn't get much better than that. There's a try. She's got him somewhat stimulated to thinks he's going to get up. So now she's going over that amniotic sac and licking up that amniotic fluid would come out with that water sac. And then when she delivers that placenta here in a little while, then she will consume it too. His scent is all over her nose, and that's how she's going to identify him in the future now. They are extremely keen to that sense of smell and which little calf is theirs and which one's not. They'll have a bunch of calves in a bunch, and they'll go through each one of them sniffing them and walk away from them until they find their own. Here we go. Close. 14 more attempts like that and he'll be on his feet. A little bit of a wind coming up now. It's gonna cool him off even a little more. If you can get up and get a bite to eat, fill that belly a couple of times before dark, then he'll be set for the night. Come on. Kind of shaky. Pretty good though. Get her nose and get him up. Pretty dang good. I've seen a whole lot harder struggle. And he'll try to take a step and fall down most likely. All that talking like also imprints her voice into his noggin. You can't help but penetrate it as loud as it is. Ooh, there you go. Caught yourself a little bit. There you go, kid. Hey, look at that. She's gonna lick that umbilical again. A lot of times these heifers are pretty new to the nursing game, so they'll keep moving around in circles, and this calf will struggle trying to get a latch onto her bag, and others will take right to it. We'll see how she does. There's a step or two. He's up, staying up. Boy, we're making headway. Wow, that was a leap up. I don't want this calf to go more than a day without getting tagged. I'll never catch it. It's pretty adept. Those four legs go fast. Instinct takes over now. He's really looking with that nose. Something soft. would get around there and get close to that milk bucket. But like a typical heifer, she is not letting him in there yet and just smelling him more than anything. But he'll keep at it. He'll stay persistent until she gives up. Sometimes they get confused and go with the front legs just like he's doing. Then they'll get their way back there. And then, yeah, see, maybe she's gonna kick her bag. She might be a little tender too. Kind of like a typical little kid. They'll just wear that mom down until she gives in. Hopefully she'll give in here in a bit. Just stand. Let her fill that belly all the way up instead of just getting a little taste. Look at her search. She knows got to be up there somewhere between those legs. Just on the wrong end. It's a nice strong calf. Nice little heifer, I'm sure. Yeah, she's not just right-handed. She'll go to the left side too. Her left. Oh, look at that. Come on. There, she got that offside. That tail wag. That is some good stuff. There we go. Look at that. Squirting some milk out there even. All right. Well, we know this is going to happen. So we'll just leave them alone. And we'll talk about this a little bit here later. And hopefully everybody got to enjoy this. See a little bit about something that makes you keep doing this year after year. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.
Oh, Brandon, I so appreciate you taking us along for the birthing season. You know, there's just such this huge mixture of joy and tension in the birthing season.
Well, and that doesn't even include the mother. So
Yeah, I mean, you cannot help but smile at the miracle of birth. And yet you also kind of hold your breath because, yeah, you know, it's fraught with danger for all parties. And it's just a beautiful time and also a very stressful time.
it is. It's you know, it's stressful for that cow if you don't have a familiarity with their behavior. You'll notice right off when that calf was first born, she laid there for a while. She's like, okay, that quit hurting, so I'm just going to lay here, and she gets up, and you can see the kind of a look of surprise about her, and she sniffed that calf and wasn't sure what it was, and then all of a sudden started licking on it. You know, she could just as easily have walked away, and that can happen, and that's why I keep these heifers close, because you're right, it can be the most joyous thing in the world, and I absolutely love calving season for that, but at the same time, calves die, and cows won't take them, or heifers particularly won't take them, and you know, they'll do some things. You know, they'll stomp them, they'll throw them, you know, whatever goes on in their mind because they're mad, and they're just taking it out on that calf. But Most of the time it works out, and thank God it does, or we wouldn't be in business. It's hard enough, without to make it without losing a calf. So yeah, it's neat. It's stressful on the cow. It's stressful on us, and so it's a very high and sometimes low points to a daily life there when you're calving.
Absolutely. So we have, first of all, a couple of questions from our members. And one person wanted to ask about how soft the hooves are. The hooves come right out of the birth canal there. And I know that they're soft, but when does it harden? I mean, that calf is up and walking around pretty darn soon.
Yeah, that cartilage is attached to the bottom of the hoof and around the toe of the hoof. So it's really not sharp. It's very, very pliable, and it's very, very soft, velvety soft. And so when that calf starts to get up, and a lot of times I can tell if I find a calf that's died, I can tell whether or not they've even been on their feet or not by looking at their feet to see if there's any kind of movement or dirt or scarring. And it's not scarring, it's just scratches in the base of that cartilage. And then that cartilage is gone within a very, very short time. That calf was born in the late afternoon, early evening, and within a couple of hours of it being up, most of that cartilage is gone. There might be a little bit left up on the edges or the very tip of the toe that hasn't wore off, but it gets wore very, very fast.
Is there a special term for that, Brandon?
Slippers.
Slippers.
They see it in horses as well. Same kind of thing. Horses are, of course, they have a solid one-piece hoof, but they still have that cartilage attached to it on the bottom. And it's just about, saving that birth canal and not tearing a cow up or their mother up as they're being born.
Right. So another question we had was that calf was born very close to the edge of your paddock. And had that calf rolled into underneath the fence in with another cow, how would that cow would have reacted? Can you predict that?
Very good question. I can't predict it. I have to think what's the worst thing that could happen and anticipate that, if that calf rolls under there and that calf doesn't water because she's got her own calf bedded down right there, yeah, she could probably do just what the heifer was doing. See how she was throwing her with her nose a little bit? She would probably do that right next to the fence more than anything. And you will see them, they'll butt them away from them, particularly if they're going to try to nurse off of them. And then sometimes these calves at a really young age, they don't understand who's who. They just see a milk bucket, and these cows will kick at her. And there was one portion there where that calf started to try to suck, and she kicked at her right away. She didn't want her to nurse. I mean, she's just still trying to figure that out. So what I would have done is, I was basically doing that. You might have saw the camera hit the ground and that's all you would have done. And heard me hollering at that cow to stay away from the calf and bring the calf back in, grab it and try not to get hit or, bumped by this heifer. It could have turned into a real wreck. So those are things you got to anticipate. And other cows would be, no issue at all. They just kind of sniff them and that would be it. No big deal.
So, Brandon, do you breed your heifers always at the same age? And what age is that?
A good question. We do something a little bit different than most people, and there's some others that do the same. Most people calve in January and February so that they can have larger calves towards the fall time, and then the replacement heifers that they keep when it comes around the next year as yearlings, they're going to be what we call a long yearling, and they'll start breeding them in maybe March for that, or late February for that January, February calf. It's about 9 months gestation or so, 283 days, but they will time that so that you've got the largest heifer they can and breed them as a yearling. That has some problems with it. To me, you're breeding an animal that isn't quite fully mature structurally and mentally. And so you'll have a lot of issues at times with a heifer that will accept that calf. They're babies themselves having babies and like, I don't want this thing. I don't even know what it is. So we will breed them as 2-year-olds. We'll wait another year, and it costs us money to do that. because we're holding that animal and it's not in production. So we're feeding it hay, we're feeding it grain, vaccinations, mineral, everything that it takes to keep parasites off of them, like wormer. All of those things have to go into that animal. They just don't stand there static and not move for a year. And so we breed them at 2 so that they're more structurally sound or larger and more mature, and mentally they're a little bit more mature, so that they calve when they're 3. So we delay that a year, and that's basically how we do that. They're going to be bred when they are just a little bit over 2 years old for calving at just before 3 years old.
So, which heifers do you bring in close? Do you bring them all in first-time heifers, or do you kind of watch and think, well, this gal is going to be more problematic than this gal just by their behavior?
I don't really watch behavior. I'm watching for them, first of all, to start to bag up to see if they're going to start, if they're starting to produce milk, they're getting ready to have a calf. And then I'm watching also the vulva will elongate, soften, and get real jelly-like when they're very, very close. And then you will start to see some pre-birthing mucus start to show up. And so I like to have them in the corral well before that time, because they can have a calf at any time. Sometimes they'll do that and they won't have a calf for a couple of weeks. So I want to kind of make sure that I've got them up close, because you never know what you got to do with that animal. And of course, a heifer they're a little bit more wily than an older cow, and so you may have a hard time getting in a corral. So I like to bring them in when I see them start to bag a little bit. Attitude really doesn't have much to do with it. It's about the birthing process itself. And then once they're in, then I watch their attitude, because, I don't want to get run over and, banged up, but you try to keep everything calm and quiet and, not be wild about it, because that will just stir everybody up. So I'm watching for those. It's really about the birthing process signs.
So once a heifer has had her first calf and has done it easily and successfully with no rejection on this kind of a thing, do you then let them birth in the pasture, the large pasture, and just kind of keep an eye on them along with a whole bunch of other ones?
Yes, that's exactly what we do. Like this particular calf and cow, the calf was up, nursed, and I probably kept them up overnight. And the next morning, tagged the calf and sent them out with the herd of cows that have already calved, that have what we call proven themselves. Once they've had a calf and they've successfully raised it with no issues, they've proven themselves. They're out into the major herd, and then next year, I just let them calve out in the pasture. Of course, I am riding through them. I'm horseback, looking at them all over and watching them. First thing I'll do, I'll take a side by side out early of a morning to see if I've got anything that's hit the ground and needs some assistance, because every minute counts. And so I'll drive through them to see if anybody needs calved or tagged, take note of who it is, what sex they are, so that I can come back to the house, make my tags up, and then go out and tag them. If I'm doing that horseback, that takes time, and I could be an hour away from getting that animal into a hot box, and we'll show what happens there on probably one of these next 2 or 3 videos next couple of weeks, and try to save that calf. You got to get them warmed up. You got to get them so that they'll drink milk and they kind of start to want to live, and then you can go ahead and kick them out. So I ride through these older cows, even though they've proven themselves, all the time. And I had one cow. It was actually a pretty easy pull, but she'd proven herself before, and she was not progressing on this birth. And it was to the point where it's like, I've got to help her out. And so that's how you catch that. You can't just turn them loose and let them do their thing. And there's a lot of management to it. There's a lot of expense, time, watching them. You just don't have a cow on grass or a steer on grass and they eat, and then you bring them in and send them to market. That's not the way it happens at all. If you did that, you're not going to be in business very long.
Well, and the huge amount of experience that goes into this, I understand. The first time I had a foal born here, I remember my vet coming out and he said, "Now don't get over anxious, Suzanne. He said 98% of colts come into the world with no interference at all. And when things go bad, they go really bad. But you
Yeah.
have to know when to interfere and when not. That you really, it's through experience that tells you, yes, this is one of those situations I need to get involved. Whereas, if you overreact, you can make things worse, not better.
That is absolutely correct, especially with horses. I don't like to pull a calf too soon, just for that reason. I mean, you may be pulling a calf when that cow's not quite ready to deliver, and you're pulling placenta away from that calf, and you could have major bleeding. I mean, there's a number of things that can go wrong. So you can also go too late. You can wait too long, and that calf, you can pull a dead calf, and we've had that happen. And it's sometimes you don't see them right away, particularly if you're having these calves, if they're being born at 3, 4 in the morning, and then you get out there at daylight, which is sometimes 6 before you can really see much. And I don't worry about the heifers. I'm checking them multiple times throughout of an evening. But the cows out in the pasture, they've proven themselves. You may get there too late, one's struggling, and you bring it in and you pull that calf and it's already dead. It's just, I mean, it happens.
Well, Brandon, again, I want to really thank you for including all of us in your world. This has just been wonderful talking to you. I enjoy talking with you every week. I look forward to welcoming you back next week. I see that we've run over a little bit of time, as I'm wont to do with you.
No, it happens.
It happens. And I just want to thank you for opening your world to us and for all that you have done for us. And we'll look forward to the next episode a week from today, same time.
It's our pleasure. It's nice to be able to show people what goes on behind the meat counter at the grocery store. If you make that connection that's where meat comes from and all that goes into it, that's good. And we feel strongly that a lot of people don't understand. We also feel strongly that, there's a lot of people out there that used to do this and they're not anymore. And what a great way to kind of go home, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. And at any rate, I'll say goodbye for today and we'll see you next week. And thank you all for joining us. Do stay with us at 10 o'clock. James and I have a little bit of ranch maintenance to do right here at Dunroven. And we'll see Brandon next week. Thank you.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.